Just to introduce myself, my name is Alex and I work with IDX Broker, and we're going to be going through the V1 and Platinum control panel. I'm going to show you a couple of the various common features that are used for integration and where they're located on V1 and then where they will be located on Platinum. For those of you who are looking to start moving clients over to Platinum, migration is always a great question. If you have any specific questions about migration, feel free to give our support a call after the webinar. They'll be able to discuss that with you, point you through some of the various items that you will need to be aware of in terms of migration. And then also, if you have any questions, I'm going to be going through a scope. I have a webinar and an outline planned out for you guys just to make sure that I get through all of the various features that I plan on introducing. So if you have any questions, please direct them to Brian. Brian is one of our other reps here at IDX Broker, and he'll be able to answer all of your questions. If he doesn't get to them, always feel free to forward them to help@idxbroker.com. And Brian, if you wouldn't mind just going ahead and typing that email address down for them, that'd be great. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Brian will do his best to get to you. So the first thing we're looking at here, you guys should all see the first dashboard. You guys are all probably pretty familiar with this. This is our original platform. This is the original dashboard. So you'll notice that we're basically on the dashboard. This is just some of the various traffic stats that you'll be seeing, just like you would be on the Platinum dashboard. Not a whole lot of differences other than the way it's laid out, and sort of the user interface is a little cleaner on the new dashboard. So some of these items you see for traffic and whatnot are going to be available in just a little more visually appeasing way. So what we'll do is just go ahead and take a look at a couple of items that I like to discuss generally for initial integration. If you'll notice here on front-end websites, we have a couple of links, basic page links that are necessary for initial integration, like basic search, advanced search, featured properties. All of those items were available under account management and page links. So we had these sections subdivided. As soon as this pulls up, we had these sections subdivided into basic search section, advanced search, and then of course listing pages, contact forms, etc. So all of these were very important for initial integration. You were grabbing a lot of these links just to copy and paste them into your navigation that you were creating on the website end. So we were externally linking up to these. Now, this same function is still going to be available in Platinum. It's called something a little bit different. It's actually called the Pages section. We're under Designs and Pages in Platinum. So it's located in a different area. But it's called the Pages section. So we have the ability to actually create new page searches now, or new search pages now. That's something that we didn't have the ability to do in the previous platform without doing some pretty extensive custom HTML work. The cool thing about this is if I do create a new page, click that button, it'll bring me up to sort of this layout section. It'll allow me to choose between either a single or multiple MLS if I have multiple MLSs on the account. If I choose single, it'll allow me to define the layout for the actual search. So here I just go ahead and click down here. Again, these layouts are going to be expanded upon, so these are just kind of initial layouts that we're working with. Keep in mind that we're still in beta, so some of the things that we come across, if there are any bugs, please bear with me. So anyway, so it's been cleaned up quite a bit. You'll notice that there's a couple of warnings now, or notices that we put out there in terms of actual layout creation. But once we save the design, we can actually create a name for it. Here, if I create test search, and save the page, it'll bring me back, and then it'll actually list the new search page under here. So we have a couple of options for these search pages. I'll get a little bit more into this as we go on, but if you do decide to redefine the layout, let's say we've already defined the layout and we wanted to kind of change that a little bit, we just go into the edit mode for that particular page, and it'll bring us back to this. Of course, if you don't want to make any changes, just press the back button. All right, so Page links are pretty much the same thing that they used to be, in the sense that you still access the link. You're going to be clicking on the link button. For those accounts that have multiple MLSs, you're going to have the ability to actually split them up, and that's pretty nifty. That's something that we didn't have before. But anyways, you still access the link basically the same way. You just go ahead and click on it. If you want the general one that combines all MLSs, you just choose the top one that's not actually divided, and you copy and paste that into any navigation that you've created for it. In this case, it would be the address search. So it's kind of a similar idea to the page links in the previous control panel. Again, a couple of the other items that I'll look into, like wrappers. You can actually get really granular with some of these wrappers and really specify what you want each one to look like. I'll get a little bit more into wrappers as we move on. The next thing I'm going to get into is what are called widgets. You guys are all very familiar with the widgets section, I'm sure. But we used to have it divided up into showcase, slideshow under this widgets tab. Widgets are now going to be located under the design section. Okay, so in our previous control panel, we had it listed under the widgets tab, and we had all of the various subsections for each widget that we allowed you to define within the control panel. So as you noticed before, we had some of the various custom search items. Those are still going to be available. Once you generate the code, you would copy and paste it into whatever area of the control panel or whatever area of your website on the front end you wanted to. So you can define pixel width and so on. That flexibility is still going to be available with the widgets that we have now. The difference is going to be the way it's laid out. So widgets are going to be located again under designs. We're going to have manage and create now. If I were to go to manage, that's going to allow me to manage any of the widgets that we have already created and saved. So one of the powerful new things that are going to be available within Platinum that wasn't available within V1 is the ability to actually save widgets. If I go to create here, I can select the type of widget. So we're trying to clean up the interface a little bit here and make it all kind of tidy and easy to access under one central location. If I were to do a quick search, for example, I can define the width of the actual box, choose to show, hide, or exclude any of the fields below, and then I can modify inline CSS for that particular widget right here within this box. And if I do not like the changes that I make, I can always revert back to default widget CSS. And then once I do that, I save the widget list. It allows me to go back to the widget list and actually manage it if I wanted to. So a couple of other items here that you're going to notice in terms of differences. We'll just go ahead and take a look at that custom search form. A lot of you are probably familiar with the way the old layout worked, where we were able to actually define the layout by kind of dragging and dropping some of these various forms to our layout. That's not really something that we still allow in terms of quick search creation. It is something that we've considered or talked about, but in terms of actual layout, the CSS is going to be the main definer for that. We don't really have a visual editor as of yet. It is something that we probably will look into adding if we haven't already. But again, if you want any more information on that, you're more than welcome to give us send us an email at help@idxbroker.com, or even ask Brian here. He might actually have a better idea as to whether or not visual editing is going to be something that's possible for quick search creation in the future. All right, next thing I'm going to get into are preferences. Now, preferences are extremely essential in terms of defining sort of the global attributes for your IDX account. Now we have global default prices, minimum and maximum. We have the search types, or the links for that appear above the search page. Then we also have a couple of various other items here that you're going to notice. The ability to affect the map, your map key. As you noticed before, we actually had this located just for the Google Maps. We're now making that available for both Bing and Google, so you have the ability to choose between the two. Of course, you will have to define an API key for both. But basically, everything's going to be tabbed out in Platinum. Before, you noticed everything was kind of laid out in sort of this same page. If you scroll down, you'll notice all of the various options. These options are still going to be available under Preferences. The difference is they're going to be tabbed out. So if you want to affect results, some of the basic settings for the results, you'll be able to do that under the results tab and so on. All of the corresponding tabs are going to be here, correspond obviously to the various sections. So aside from that tabbed layout, one of the things you'll notice is that in PT we still have the ability to actually affect global minimum and maximum prices. This gets a little more granular in PT, and I'm going to show you this in a second. On the actual search pages, you have the ability to affect that under preferences. So if I were to go to preferences for basic search, for example, and I were to go to search setup, I can actually affect the min and max price on that specific search page. So we do have global preferences, but if you do want to get a little more flexible with the min and max price that are set on that, you can obviously define that on the actual search page. So that's something that's going to be a little bit different there. Let's go back. So your properties, and then if we go back to your properties here, featured properties are going to be basically the same. The only difference really is going to be that it's accessible through the tab. Featured properties are, of course, the listings that your agent puts into the MLS. So these will be all of their listings that you'll have additional access to in terms of affecting. Supplemental properties, again, are the listings that do not show up in the MLS that your client still wants to have show up on the search through their IDX. It will actually be shown through our system. So supplementals are still going to be allowed through the new system, obviously. We have basically the same settings there, not too much additional. Email updates are kind of an interesting thing that we had going on with the previous control panel. That was something that was to send out MLS listing updates to any of the leads that your clients had. So it would automatically send out listing updates that were unique to the criteria that they were searching. And we had obviously a from address, and then we had a carbon copy type and a carbon copy address. We still have those same options here. We can send reminder emails now, and the other thing too is we have recipients now. We can define contact page recipients, more info page recipients, home valuation recipients, and then show a schedule or schedule a showing recipient. So those were some of the pages that you would actually access, some of the contact pages that you would actually access directly from a listing page, and I'll show you that in just a second here as soon as that listing page pulls up. I'll turn you off. All right, and there's the more info tab, schedule a showing. Again, you can actually define the recipients for these particular contact forms. Pretty nifty, not something that we had available within the V1 control panel. Now, a couple of the other items that you'll notice, other settings or other options were definable to allow you to define a logo for the company. Still available. We still have that tabbed under here. We have the actual logo available, so you can actually set up an image path for that particular logo, or just upload it directly from your local drive. If we scroll down, one of the things you'll notice that are new in Platinum are the availability of other options like global width. You can actually set the design width for all IDX pages. It makes it a little bit easier to manage. We also have mortgage calculator settings, something that wasn't available with the previous. You had a little bit of customization with the actual mortgage calculator in terms of CSS, but you also had the availability of affecting templates. Still going to be there with this, but for those that are not really looking to affect the CSS and would really rather just have a quick little editor, you do have a couple of input fields here that you can affect for the mortgage calculator now. And then time zone settings, another thing that we kind of discussed. You do have to actually set this for your client's account, but something that I don't believe was actually available in the previous control panel. We had that set, I believe, to PST for the entire, for all of our clients rather. So something that is going to be available now. I think we're talking about somewhat automating it, but word on that later. All right, so we have a couple of other items here under preferences. You have the ability to actually create a search list filter or create custom search lists out of the county, zip code, and city. So this has not really changed too much in the new control panel. You're still going to have your county, city, and zip code lists. You can actually manage them, or you can create new ones. And all we have to do is click on the button that interests us. Of course, we can go ahead and affect that. We are talking about creating reset buttons here because as it is now, you actually have to refresh the page, I believe, in order to affect another tab once you've clicked on one already. So if I manage this, I click on county, can actually manage the existing lists for that particular MLS. And I can select the ones I want, add them to the new list that I create, etc. I'm done. I would like to start over. So not too much has changed there. This is pretty much the same functionality that was available, just a different layout. Yeah, I mean it's really meant to sort of allow you to click through to that and then just kind of clean up and then be done with it and start with something else. So again, we're gonna go ahead and move on from that. Though I wanted to go ahead and kind of address saved links. There was a couple of questions, I believe, at the beginning that had to do with saved links, and I think it had more to do with migrating saved links over to the new Platinum system. We do have a migration tool for that, so a little word on that, Dennis, is that we do actually offer migration tools that will help to migrate any of the existing saved links or leads over to the new system. And CSS will also be migrated to Platinum. But there are some items that won't be affected or affectable. For instance, any links that you have established on the static pages in terms of navigation will have to be changed on your side. So to get back to that, saved links are going to be located in a different area altogether. In our previous control panel, we had them available under Customize, and you would click on the Customize tab, and then you had this sub-menu item, Custom Links. I'll click on that. We had the ability to define these custom links, which were just predefined search results under basic search, advanced search, map search, address search, etc. I would select my criteria. I would generate the link, and then it would come up here, and then I would just go ahead and define the URL long tail for that particular link and save it. It's located under a completely different section now. It's going to be located under Preferences as opposed to Customize. We don't actually have a Customize tab anymore. So to access that, if you want to manage saved links or create them, it's going to be laid out in a similar fashion to the actual widget section. If I go to Manage here, you see all of the links that have been saved. Now, I'm going to show you a little bit about creating a link now. So the process is a little bit different. If I want to access a specific search instead of the jump to hyperlinks that we had at the top of the actual search form, we have pick a search page. So if I were to click basic, and the cool thing about this is it actually pulls in any of the custom search pages that you've created. So if you are concerned about defining by something that you've entered or included on your custom search page, it will be available there. So I'm going to go ahead and click on basic, which is actually a custom search that was established by somebody here. We can go ahead and click, same thing. You're going to be able to define by city, min, max, price. I can view results in window instead of having to copy and paste the results into an address bar. I can just click that button and it'll immediately direct me to the results that I've defined. So just taking kind of a step out of the process, making it a little bit user-friendly, a little more user-friendly. I can reset the form here if I've made any mistakes. Obviously not going to be too big of a deal for the basic form, but if you are doing advanced criteria, it makes it a little easier to do. And then finally, I can choose whether or not I want to display results that only have images, virtual tours, or open house, something that wasn't available with our previous custom link builder. Oh, well, actually, showing listings with images was available, but we've added a couple others. Anyways, once I've saved the changes, it will direct me to, let me see if I can pull up that particular doc. It may not, just because, oh, cool. It allows me to define SEO settings directly from this menu. So before you would have to actually save it, you would go through step 2, which would define your new URL long tail, and then you would go to the saved links section under customize, which would allow you to affect existing saved links. If I clicked in, I would have to click in first of all and affect the SEO options afterwards. So there were additional steps. The cool thing now is that you can do this sort of on the fly. As I'm creating the saved link, I can just go ahead and scroll down and affect the SEO options directly here. I can add my unique subheader, even do agent assignment, which I don't believe was available on the previous one. And we save the changes for that. If you'll bear with me here. All right, excellent. So once I get to that point, it'll bring up a menu. Just ask me if I want to create another saved link, just in case I'm in the mode for creating saved links and I don't want to move on to something else. I know that it can be fairly difficult to get through a lot of saved links, but again, for those of you concerned about migration, we will be migrating the saved links that you've created in the V1 dashboard over to Platinum. So I'll be brought to this Manage Saved Links section if I choose to. Again, I have the ability to affect the link. I can edit it if I messed up in the options that I input when I initially created the link. I can also delete the saved link. Yes, that one was pretty worthless. I didn't even define a name for it. I can edit the search criteria. I can go to Preferences, go to SEO options for that particular link. Again, very flexible in terms of the amount of items that you can affect, taking some of the steps out of saved link creation. And then we can also preview the link directly from here. So that was something that was already available in our previous solution. You'll notice under saved links, we still have the ability to delete links, manage the link. You can go in and edit them by clicking directly on it. This is a little less intuitive than it is with the new platform. And then you have the test link. So we actually have some of these items here that are, I think, titled a little more appropriately. But anyways, you have the same stats, number of times viewed. You can even actually, well, you're supposed to be able to order the rows by the number of times viewed. So that function apparently is not currently working. Another one of those items that you're going to have to take in mind. There is still beta testing with this product, so any issues that you do come across like that one, you can always contact our support and we'll open a ticket for it. Anyways, with saved links, one of the most important things that's going to be added to the new platform, which was not available with the previous platform, is the ability to actually individually wrap these pages. Now, some of you guys are probably already familiar with wrappers extensively, page wrappers. I want to get into that actually right now that we're speaking about it. Previously, it was available under Customize. Now, we have a global HTML wrapper, which obviously affects all pages, all IDX pages. The global header include, for those of you that you're using HTML sites or non-WordPress sites rather. And then you had the WordPress include, which you could choose to activate. You define a URL for. Okay, that is still going to be available under a different section though. So you can think of designs as a new Customize tab. When I click on designs, it's going to pull up the various subsections, and wrappers is one of them. So if I want to affect the global wrapper, I have this sort of simple tab, or I can click on advanced. Global tab is right there. You can manage the global wrapper. And then I have categories. Now categories is just like it was available under Customize in the previous control panel. And you could affect the search pages, the listing pages, etc. is going to be available here. Now I have the drop-down menu as opposed to the sidebar navigation, but I can still affect categories just like I could in the previous. And of course this one got a little more granular as well. V1 was actually very robust, so keep in mind that we built a lot of those features off of V1. It's even hard to pull in all of the features from V1 into Platinum, but we've been making sure to do so. So if you find any features in V1 that aren't available in PT, feel free again to notify our support. We will definitely open up a ticket to make sure that we're bringing in as much of those features as we can from the previous platform. But anyways, we have pages, same as we were, same as available on the V1 control panel. Of course, you can get more granular with that. We just have the drop-down menu. We can affect the actual search pages, map, and contact instead of that sidebar navigation that was available in the previous platform. One of the cool things you'll notice about this now is that wrappers actually include what's called the saved link section, and that was not available under our previous customize tab. So we had subheaders. We did have page wrappers and category wrappers, but now we offer saved link wrappers. Now, you guys may have remembered the saved links that we do already have, but I'm going to go ahead and show you again just so I can refresh your memory. We had Bellevue, Cape Coral, Hollywood, 100K to 200K. Well, all of these links that we've saved are going to be available under the saved links section of the wrappers under advanced. So if I go to saved links, all of those links that I've created, test link, Redmond, Rich Homes, etc., I can affect the full wrapper for that saved link now. I can choose either to make it a standard or a printable. If I go to standard wrapper, it's going to give me the option between static, which would be a snapshot of a page, dynamic, which would obviously curl the code, the HTML code. What's cool now is that it actually asks for a dynamic URL as opposed to includes. And then we have finally an include section. I'd have to start over apparently to effect. But anyways, again, another one of those kind of nifty bugs that we come across with beta tested software. But anyways, HTML includes. Okay? So we have a header URL and a footer URL that we can define. But anyways, again, this allows you to get a little more granular with your wrappers. So if you want to, put relevant content around a saved link, let's say we have Bellevue, but we want to show in the sidebar maybe a showcase widget with only Bellevue homes in the 100K to 200K range. You can definitely create the widget, save it, and then copy and paste the code into that particular wrapper, into a header or footer. So a lot more flexibility. We're giving you more control over those saved links. We still have not created wrappers obviously for individual listings because that would be a headache. Obviously there are thousands of listings, so you're not going to be able to affect listings. Short story. Custom CSS was the next thing I wanted to kind of get into here. As you can already see, custom CSS is going to be located under designs. As I mentioned, is sort of the new customize section. CSS was originally located under customize, and we had master style sheet, and then we also had that was sort of your global CSS, and then we also had the more granular applications of CSS, which allowed you to apply to property search, map search, result pages, etc. Those options are still going to be available. We have global CSS tabbed out, and we also have category CSS, which we can affect individual categories, and then finally pages. So if you want to get really specific with how you're affecting those pages, you can certainly choose the page that you want to affect. And then finally, we have the Saved Links tab also available under Custom CSS. So if you're looking to only customize with CSS a specific saved link, you can certainly do that with our new product. Again, something that was not available with our previous. So there isn't any saved links section here. Obviously, there are quite a few options in our previous platform that you could affect with CSS, which were really handy, but now it's just a little bit different in the fact that you can affect even more pages. All right, so a couple of the other items that you guys are probably going to be curious about are the featured listings for agents. We have active listings here. You can actually augment these listings with additional photos, change the description, etc. These were the listings that belong to the agent. While that's loading up, it's taking forever. We can go to the listing tabs here within Platinum, pretty much the same location. You just click on the listing tab. It's divided now into active, sold, pending, and supplemental, and this is taking way too long. All right, we still have that same sort of division in V1, so the layout for the listings is pretty much, for the most purposes, just about exactly the same. All right, and one of the other things that I know a lot of you are interested in is defining lead registration preferences for your clients. Now, a lot of your clients are going to be concerned about how many times specific leads can view individual pages before they're either requested or forced to sign up. This has changed pretty significantly in Platinum, so this is going to be something that I really want you guys to kind of note here. If you look at the lead management section that was available in V1, we had a lead registration preferences that was a sub-menu of lead management. It was all laid out in the single page, which allowed you to obviously affect a force or request. You could define the number of times that you could view pages, and then also force registration after a certain number of views. Now, in Platinum, we have this simple lead registration preferences tool now. This tool basically allows you to define a conservative, balanced, or aggressive, or even custom. So if you want to get aggressive, you can just go ahead. I mean, for those of you who are looking to find registration preferences for your clients on the fly without having to get too involved in the preferences setup, you just go ahead and click aggressive or balanced or conservative, and that'll automatically select defaults for your system that will affect all of the registration preferences on all pages. Now, if you want to get a little more advanced, we do have the ability to affect some of the same options that you had within the previous emails. If you wanted to change or go with default, you have that ability here as well. So thank you page. We have that. And we can also add tracking for our conversion tracking codes with that on those pages. So email verification, same options that are basically available in V1 are going to be available tabbed under the PT control panel. Now, the main difference that I want to point out is with this, you could affect sort of global settings for all pages. What's really neat now is that you can get more granular. So for those of you who are really looking to customize lead registration, you can go to Preferences and Designs and Pages. And this was something I was going to talk about a little bit earlier, but you can affect preferences for a search page, for example. If I edit the preferences for that page, each search page is going to have its own lead registration tab. Now, if I click on that lead registration tab, I can actually affect request registration or force registration for that specific page, something that was not previously available. So this is going to happen for all pages that, you know, are searchable. If we have a featured link here or listings here, actually, let's pull up the map search page. We can go to preferences there. We have lead registration on the actual map searches page. So you can really define specifics in terms of how many times I can view map search pages, result pages, or detail pages. So that was the actual listings page here. Oops, layout, wrong one. All right, let's go back. So again, lead registration pages are all going to be affected there. Now this kind of brings me into the next one. I'm sure you guys all see the SEO settings tab available there under listings. Now this is something that we did not offer with our previous control panel. We did have the ability to affect saved links, so you could affect the SEO on saved links, for example, the link name, subheader, etc. We do still allow you to do that. Saved links I showed you earlier, you can still manage the SEO options for, especially even now while creating the saved link. But now with listings, you have the ability to affect SEO options there as well. So if I edit the preferences for the listing pages and I go to SEO settings, I can actually define the long tail for all listings. So this is how it would show up. It would show up a zip code. It would bring, we're actually pulling in dynamic text or for those URLs. So we can pull in city name, we can pull in state abbreviation, zip code. Maybe I want to remove state abbreviation. Maybe I want to add listing ID instead. I just go ahead and type in and it'll autofill for me, and then I have that dynamic text there for that long tail. Now we have the ability to obviously affect the title text for those listings, and then the meta tags, of course, as we did before in the previous control panel. That was located under preferences at the bottom under SEO options. Now this is going to be quite a bit of a different location. Obviously we're affecting this under pages, under designs, and listings for preferences. So again, previous location was preferences, global preferences, SEO options, current location, designs, pages, listings, SEO settings. Okay, so a little bit different in terms of the layout there. Again, if you guys, I know this is a lot of information to retain. I'm going over a lot of different items that you probably use or use with a lot of your clients and plan to use in Platinum. The reason why I'm trying to go over all of this is so that you guys have an idea of where some of the new features are located and where some of the old features that were available on V1 are located in the PT control panel. So if you guys have, if you forget where some of these items are located, feel free to give us a call. You can ask our support. We'll certainly point you to it. We're all very, very familiar with this control panel. All right, so the next thing I'm going to go over are exports. We have lead exports. This, for all purposes, for most purposes, are going to be pretty much the same. If I go to lead management, I have the ability to actually export the leads directly from lead management. And the same thing with manage users. So any users that I've entered into the back end, I have the ability to export as well through the original control panel. I tell you what, it seems like V1 is being cranky today. Anyways, while that's loading, we can just go ahead and show you where those are located here within the control panel for Platinum. We have the Users and Leads tab, which are, for all purposes, pretty much the same within both control panels. And they both give you the option to export. You can manage or create the export, meaning that you can actually save exports and then just re-export them every time instead of having to create the export on every try. So that's something that's kind of new. You can actually save the exports or any criteria that you've defined to export. The next one that we're going to go over is managing users. This can be handled in a couple of different ways now. Before, you noticed we had to add agent IDs. You had the ability to you still have the ability to manage your users. Here we have that same tab that's available under the V1. This is only important for you that are servicing clients that have multiple users. Those who have those office accounts are going to be interested in how to add agent codes. So any agent that is entered in, you'll want to make sure that you're entering in also the available MLS code. So that was available, and I'm having trouble locating that. Oh, there we go. That's because there's so many of them. This one happens to have the availability to enter in the MLS membership ID for every MLS. Still going to be the same in PT. So if I add a user, I have the ability to do it directly from the Agents tab under Users. I can create, and then I have the ability to enter in no. Let's go to MLS. All right. Should have logged off of that beforehand. Okay, so that's why. That's for creation. Anyways, if we go here and actually edit the agent, I can go to their MLS. I can choose IDs. The cool thing about this is that you're no longer going to have to necessarily manually enter in an agent. You can actually import the agent under the Office ID. So you can show available agents if you have an Office ID associated with the account. Not something previously available. You had the ability to add new users, but you had to add them manually. If you did want to add only their MLS membership ID, you would have to do so anyways through the Add User section. So that's something that's going to be available in PT that wasn't available in V1. The other thing that you want to keep in mind is under Preferences, we have a Featured ID section now, which allows you to define agent IDs. Office IDs are only accessible through admin, so one of the things you'll want to keep in mind is if you do want to change an Office ID that's affiliated with an account, you will have to contact IDX support. But just handled slightly different and in slightly different locations. Okay? All right, so the next piece is going to be mobile. This is something that I did want to go over sort of towards the end of the webinar. I know that you guys are really interested in the mobile piece. Mobile has changed pretty significantly. It's no longer going to be located under a mobile tab, and it doesn't describe an app anymore. It's no longer an application that has to be downloaded. It is something that is actually going to be accessed as a wrapper now. So we have use mobile wrappers that we can toggle to yes or no. And then we can, eventually we're going to be able to add page wrappers for those mobile pages. But basically, if I have this toggled to yes, it'll be responsive when visited from a device, any sort of mobile device. So what I'll do is just kind of pull up a demo here for you guys. There's no more downloading, so the application is no longer downloaded. Here we go. Let's see, we'll go to the home page. Actually, let's do property search. And we'll go ahead and pull up our little emulator, which is not responding. I love it how everything goes right when you're doing a webinar. All right, let's try this again. All right, okay. And let's go ahead and search. So now we're just basically visiting the URL directly from a mobile device. Now, I know I'm showing you this on an iPhone emulator. That doesn't mean it only works with iPhone. It just happens to be the emulator that I have. If I had an Android emulator, I'd certainly show it to you there as well. But really, it's meant to work on all mobile devices. You visit a search page, and it automatically reformats when you use those page wrappers. Now, you can see here there's a little bit of messy CSS. Again, another one of those items that you'd either have to clean up. This is the advanced search, or contact our support to help you fix. We have the ability to go back, I guess, if we came from another page. We have the ability to affect account. So if a lead is visiting your client's website directly from a mobile phone and they wanted to view their account, they can actually sign in or sign up. And they can view all properties that they've saved, all searches that they've saved. Now we have contact page here as well, which is basically your normal contact .php page, except viewable from a mobile device, obviously optimized for it. You can perform a new search. And that'll bring me back to the search page. Phone number is available there, so I can call directly from the mobile redirect. I'll show you a couple of the other pages in a second here, because I know you guys want to see the result pages and the listing pages. And this one is probably the most important for me anyways. I know I like to view full site directly from my mobile phone sometimes, so I like the ability to be able to do that. Now that's something that's curious. How do you get back once you've gotten to a full? Oh, there we go. View mobile site. There's an option there. Fortunately, I'm on an emulator, so I can't really move the screen around the way I want to. Fantastic. Let's see if I can get the link. There we go. View mobile site. And we come back to the mobile optimized page. Okay? And we can obviously exit out of links if we want. At least we're supposed to. If I scroll down here, I can press the search button. Any criteria I select obviously is going to define the result page that I end up on. And there's the map and all of the listings below. So the CSS has been cleaned up pretty significantly here. I click on a property. It's going to bring me to an optimized page for the listing. I have the ability to plus or minus a description, walk score map, additional details. If I want to take out basic features, I just minus, plus on the advanced features, and then of course I have a contact tab here down at the bottom of the detail page. Pretty neat. And then again, view full site at the bottom of all these pages. So for those of you concerned about whether or not an individual will be able to access the full site, they should be able to from every single page. And then of course the contact information is going to be available there. So those of you who are familiar with the previous application that had to be downloaded, it was a lengthy process. It had to be downloaded. You had to enter in the agent code. And it was pretty limited in terms of contact, in terms of lead capture. Our new responsive pages are going to have all the same tools for lead capture as the full site will. So that's no longer going to be an issue. That's pretty nifty, obviously. These items up here, this header, you can affect the actual logo that displays here. You can also change the color of this header here. Now this is sort of limited right now because we're only offering or giving you the availability to affect mobile pages through CSS. So if I go to custom CSS and I go to pages, at least, let's see, I think, oh, okay. So mobile pages are not available there yet. I think we removed that. But we will have the availability for CSS to affect the mobile pages and for wrappers. So once we get that integrated, you'll notice it under pages section for the CSS section, or for the wrapper section under advanced pages, etc. Okay. So those items are going to be fully customizable. Right now you're kind of going to be using just the responsive pages that we've already custom developed. There are you do have some ability to affect those mobile pages, I believe under the global preferences. Actually maybe not. So it looks like a few items for customization were removed. But basically, yeah, you have the ability at this point to turn on or turn off mobile responsiveness. Now that's something that we will definitely address. I'm not quite sure why we removed the CSS for those mobile pages. But anyways, we shall move on from mobile. And it looks like I'm getting a cue here from my friend Brian to take a look at some of the questions you guys have. So we have an API would be good, and all right, let's see. So I'm going to try to take a look at a couple of your guys' questions here, if you wouldn't mind holding on the line. All right, let's take a look at the API piece, because that is something that I was going to actually address anyways. And we'll get to WordPress as the last part. I was kind of hoping to get to WordPress before we got to API services, but we'll do that first. All right, API is going to be definable a little bit different than it was before. We had web services that were available for leads with V1, and they were accessible through client WSDL. Not a whole lot of support on this. I'm not even quite sure how to use the web services for our previous solution, but basically they allowed get and put for disabling searches, enabling searches, etc. The IDX API now with the Platinum solution is going to be quite a bit more extensive, a lot easier to use. You can see here it's divided up into clients, MLS, leads, etc. And we have list components, list methods, agents, office, get, put, post, and delete method for, well, I guess none for those. We have the ability to actually affect list methods and approved MLSs for MLS, and then finally a lead section. So for those of you who are interested in the API, I can go ahead and actually post this into our text box. And for those of you still interested in using the web services for our original platform, I'm sending that to you as well. Be sure to save those. If you guys need the links afterwards, you can always email us. We'll send them to you. So I'm not going to go too much over the API. If you guys are really interested in sort of accessing this for the purposes of integrating leads into a custom CRM, this is where you do it. Again, it's a little more extensive. You have a little bit more of an option to edit lead and saved searches and saved listing information through custom CRM. So for those of you who are bundling your own CRM with the website that you provide for our mutual clients, you can certainly do that. All right, a little bit different there. Domain control, one other thing that I wanted to take a look at was domain control. A lot of you use subdomains to establish the SEO credit under your client's A-name record. There's still an ability to do so. I believe it's a little bit different now. Unfortunately, we don't have a manner of changing the domain control through the control panel yet. But if you do want to add a subdomain, you call our support, and they'll change it for you. That is something that we will be adding in terms of custom subdomain in the future. So just keep that in mind. That is one feature that is available on V1 that you could immediately access that you'll have to call our support to access now. All right, I'm going to kind of review a couple more of your questions before I go through the WordPress section here. Let's see. So we wanted to look at a sample website with a lot of new features. I'm going to go ahead and do that actually for you guys, since we have been taking kind of a long look at the backend control panel. I know it's boring, but you guys are developers and you're probably going to have to know all this stuff anyways. So again, I do want to get through that stuff, but since we only have one more section to go over, which is WordPress, and I'm really only going to show you the differences in terms of binding your WordPress account to the IDX Broker control panel and a couple of the new features that are going to be available under the IDX Broker settings. I do want to show you, I'll go ahead and show you guys an example of a new website that uses a lot of our new features. So let's see here. I believe the one I just checked out recently was, bear with me guys, I'm going to go ahead and pull up this account for you. I think it may have been Rick, but let's take a look. All right, that's it. Okay, perfect. All right, cool. So here is an example of one of our other developer partners that actually created a responsive theme and integrated our IDX Broker Platinum services into that theme. As you can see here, here's a quick home search. It's your widget. They saved this particular widget for the account. We've also included hyperlinks to saved links or result pages. You guys are all familiar with those now, probably. I've gone over a couple times already. So it'll bring me directly to a results page. More importantly, you're going to notice all of the listing widgets that are available on the right-hand side navigation. We have full footer and everything. Very nice, clean site. Contact pages are still available. This one is actually a custom created contact page. I believe that they're either using the HTML code for our input fields from our contact form, or they have their own CRM that they're integrating into, and it looks like it's the latter. But anyways, this particular site is going to be responsive, fully responsive on all pages. So let's go ahead and bring open that emulator again. And that's kind of the neat aspect of this particular site. I'll show you a couple of the search pages on the desktop as well. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight that, and then I'm going to visit this website. A mobile device, everything stacks. This is, again, a responsive WordPress site. So all of the widgets are now responsive. As you can see here, the widget here is going to be laid out horizontally. Of course, that wouldn't fit within a mobile screen, so it stacks vertically. As I showed you with widget creation, you have the ability to actually affect the CSS for that specific widget. You save it, and if you've made it responsive with the ability, you either float and stack those various elements, then you can save it so you don't have to recreate it every time you go through it. Of course, it saves the CSS, so you can copy and paste the CSS into each widget that you create. Maybe if you do a custom search, for example, with a couple of different widgets. All right, so we have the same access and functionality through there. If I press the search button, it'll bring me to a results page. All right, and this is, looks like I didn't return any results there. This is your previous results page that I showed you before. So let's go ahead and pull up a results page. I know it's going to pull up results. So these are the result pages, the responsive pages that I showed you before. A little bit of a different feel. I know that this is kind of not as seamless as some of you are going to like. Again, the integration of CSS and page wrappers will be effectable for these mobile pages in the future. But you still have the ability to do so. Have a fully responsive page or a fully responsive website that you can sell to your clients already. So anyways, we'll get back to the full site and show you the search form. Okay, not too much has changed in terms of the advanced search, other than a couple of the input fields. There's an ability to affect individual advanced input fields, and I'll show you a little bit of that. Let's log back into our previous account, which I believe was under demo. Actually, there it is. Perfect. Okay. All right, so if we go into designs and pages, let's pull up. So we have what's called Select 2, which is going to be available under advanced search for, let's see, we have homes here, which is considered our advanced search. And actually, whoops, I should have clicked on the fields button. Here we go. So we have the ability to affect the fields for the residential, multifamily, commercial property types for the MLS. I view the settings, brings out the layout for all of the advanced fields. We have the ability to actually affect how those advanced fields show up, and this is a quick list option. When we change to the quick list option, it turns into what's called a select to input field, which allows you to type in and it'll autofill, sort of like I guess the parody most people draw for me is like the Google search. Basically, you start typing in something that's relevant and it'll pull up all relevant search items for that particular search query, and then it'll autofill for you. So something that wasn't available on the previous platform that is now. And then somebody actually mentioned to me it's a nice map. They wanted to see somewhere that sold data would be available, how would it be displayed or searched. That's a great question, actually, and let me address that, actually. We'll go back to the map search so you guys can get a better look at it. We have a min and max price that we can define. Furthermore, we have the ability to affect property type or define by property type or city, and then we can locate me or find me. So all of those options are still going to be available for the most part. The map interface has changed just a little bit. The icons have obviously changed. You can still affect or still access the details page directly from any pop-up from all of these various listings. And you can go directly to the photo gallery. Now, in terms of sold listing data sets, it's going to change just a little bit. A sold listing data set is going to be available in the future for the MLSs that allow it. Okay, a lot of MLSs don't really allow the historical or the mix of historical data with active data, but it is starting to become more of a thing now. Some MLSs are allowing it, and for those that are allowing it, we're actually including them or incorporating them as separate data sets. So the way it'll work is as a second MLS. You'll have an initial MLS which will display all active listings and all pending listings if pending is an available option. Now, sold is going to be incorporated as its own data set, and it will be searchable as multiple data sets. So if you have a basic search, it'll obviously combine all of those items. For the advanced search, it will separate them from within a drop-down menu between the active and sold listings. And it does cost $19 extra a month, so it is an add-on. Technically, it is considered an add-on. So just to answer that question. All right, and before I get any more into answering questions for you guys, I do want to kind of address the WordPress piece before we finish off this webinar. It's already been an hour. I'm sure you guys are probably bored out of your wits by now. No, actually, I know this is an entertaining webinar. So if we go to the WordPress control panel side of things, I can go to settings. It's going to be accessible under IDX Broker Platinum. Now, I want you guys to actually keep in mind, because a lot of you are still going to be managing both V1 accounts and Platinum accounts. So for those of you who are still doing that, adding new plugin, when you do have a V1 account, make sure that you are installing the correct plugin. This is actually a very common call. We get this mistake a lot where people are signing up for the Platinum WordPress plugin because it's got this impressive 5-star rating and the other one doesn't. And it doesn't work. And there's a reason for that. The accounts don't bind without an API key for the Platinum WordPress plugin. And I'll show you that in just a second. So if you have an original account, make sure that you install the IDX Broker WordPress plugin. If, on the other hand, you have a Platinum account, make sure you install the IDX Broker Platinum WordPress plugin. Now, unfortunately, I do not have the original plugin to preview for you guys. We don't have a login for that, so I'm going to only be able to show you the IDX Broker Platinum. I'm sure you aren't too bummed about that because you do want to see some of the new features that are going to be available in WordPress anyways. So some of the available links that were made available in the previous platform are obviously going to be available for integration now, except we also have some of those custom search forms that we've created in the back end also available through our quick navigation system links. So same thing with the saved links. Anything that we've created in the saved link section is going to be available here. Now, the main difference between binding accounts is going to be how you do it. Previously, we required a CID and a password. You had to enter the CID for your client's account, and then you had to enter the password for your client's account in order to bind it. And then I believe the subdomain. For this new system, you're going to actually have to enter in an API key. So the API key is just a one-step process, and it's available here under the control panel. If I go to Home, click on that, click on API Key Control. I have the ability to create a new key or revoke the key that I currently have and then create a new key. And then I copy and paste that into the control panel here, and then I refresh the plugin options. Now, this is also another important option here. You want to make sure that you're refreshing the plugin options if there are any links or custom searches that you have created in the back end that are not properly updating to your WordPress control panel, and you have the right API key. Just make sure to click the refresh plugin options. This will automatically refresh all of those items and automatically bring them into your WordPress control panel. I'm going to go ahead and show you a little bit about the widgets tab. This is cool. This is a really cool option now. We do have widgets just like we had in the previous control panel, except in the previous control panel you just had sort of your basic widget layout. So we would just have our widgets by default, just a normal script, and then you'd have to customize it afterwards. Now, we currently have the ability, as I showed you earlier, to design a widget and save it. When you save this widget, take a look at these names. I want you guys to remember this. Any City USA, Basic Custom Slideshow, etc. These widgets get pulled through to the control panel now, to your WordPress control panel. IDX, Any City USA, you can see some of the various custom widgets that we've saved in the backend control panel for IDX Broker are now being pulled over to the WordPress control panel. So you don't actually have to customize it afterhand now. You can customize it first, pull it over to the WordPress control panel. A couple of easier steps there. We also offer the showcase now that wasn't previously available. Now, there has been discussion about entering shortcodes for dropping some of these widgets in. I'm not too familiar with shortcodes, so if you guys have any questions about how shortcodes are implemented in our new IDX plugin, please call our support or send them an email at help@idxbroker.com. That's a new piece that we've just recently added to make integration for some of those showcase widgets easier to integrate into blogs, for example. All right, so that sort of concludes the webinar for today. We've already passed the hour mark. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't address a couple questions before we close out. You guys have been very active in terms of asking questions. I hope you didn't overwhelm Brian too much, but I appreciate your guys' attendance today. Let's see. It doesn't look like there are too many questions that we didn't answer here. All right, and it does look like there are a couple coming up right now. All right, we have a question from Clifford. I assume they'll either be transferred over from V1 to Platinum, or both systems will be offered, maintained, available for purchase indefinitely. Great question, Clifford. I appreciate you bringing this up. This is something that we weren't quite set on. We were actually talking about dissolving V1 entirely and then moving everybody over to Platinum. However, we've changed our viewpoint on this. A lot of people really appreciate the original platform. So we are going to keep it up indefinitely along with Platinum. So you have the choice to manage both on original and on Platinum. The price is going to be different, though, between platforms. So for V1, you're going to be looking at $29.99, and for our Platinum platform, you're going to be looking at $59.99. And Brian, you can correct me if I'm wrong there. I believe that's what I was informed of on the Monday morning meeting. So again, there's going to be quite a bit of a price difference. Obviously, Platinum is going to be offering more items, more features for integration and customization. It is going to be a much more robust system, but V1 is still very robust. And for those of you who have clients on a budget, you can certainly still maintain them on the V1 platform. Okay, another question here from Jeremy Blanton. So will those already on PT going to be grandfathered into the price they're currently at? Another great question, Jeremy. So yes, they're going to be able to keep that price at $39.99 a month for a 12-month period. So again, Brian, you can correct me on that if I'm wrong, but we should be at $39.99 for those who have already a Platinum account, and they will have that for a 12-month period before they're updated to the new price. And Fred, yes, I did say $59.99. Any other questions, guys, before we close out the webinar? How much will the Office account be? I am not exactly sure. Multi-user accounts obviously are going to be structured differently in terms of price. I am not entirely sure. So if Brian, if you have a good question or a good answer on that one, I'm not exactly sure. But Brian also is mentioning here to me that pricing terms can really change at any time. None of it is really set in stone. So Jeremy, in reference to your reply, I do realize it is a big jump. So hopefully we'll be able to, we'll see how things go with the pricing. We can't make any promises, obviously, but none of it is, in fact, set in stone. And Matthew, yes, we'll try to get you any sort of pricing information on Office accounts as soon as possible. All right, you guys, I hope that I answered all of your questions. I hope that this was a great review of both platforms. I know that there's a lot of information to retain. So if you guys have any other questions, if you guys want any other help in terms of familiarity with the new control panel, you guys are our developer partners. We appreciate you very much in the business you bring to us. So please feel free to give us a call. You can call us at 541-343-3912. And again, you can email us at info@idxbroker or help@idxbroker for any of your needs. Sales calls, obviously, or sales questions are going to be going to info, whereas support questions will be going to help. But we do appreciate your business, and if you do have any other questions, you need any other help with our platforms, please give us a call, okay? Thanks so much, and that will conclude our webinar. Have a great day. Bye.